Now that I've got your attention, hi there, it's Rose from the Eloquent in the Room podcast. This is the promo for part 3 of my 3-part interview with Wyo Lee, which we called Love, Connection and BDSM. It is along the lines of my Adulting Consent series that I started with my conversation with Betty Martin last October. Then I talked about other things for a few podcasts. Now we're back talking about consent. And it's front page news at the moment. BDSM, unfortunately, is front page news for the wrong reasons. The thing is, I have some issues with the idea of BDSM or my own misconceptions and projections around BDSM. And I wanted to put that to the test, put it under the microscope and peel away my cognitive biases around it and talk to someone who had a really positive attitude about it. And interestingly enough, even though Wyo and I could not be more different, where, I'm almost 30 years older than her, in so many ways we're like twin spirits, twin flames, artistically, creatively and sexually and spiritually and all that sort of stuff. We both want and we both achieve the same sense of empowerment and fulfillment. Go figure. So take it away, Rose and Wyo. I think common misconception of these dynamics is men are looking for a woman to boss, or people are looking for people to be dominant over, and submissives are just by the very word just feels like there's no agency there.
Yeah,
And
so
they
I
are
would
the plaything of the dominant rather than the submissive being the willing, desirous plaything. So talk me through that if you can.
So I just want to say there's a very big difference between like actually literally being someone's plaything and having no control and making an explicit mutual agreement about how you want to play so that I, Wyo, a woman who is in charge of literally thousands of things in my everyday life. I'm a complete artistic entrepreneur and I'm holding so much in my day-to-day life. I have an endless to-do list that cannot be met. I wake up at 5:30 to write, and I have to stop myself working at 8:30 so I can go to bed. Like I'm an insane workaholic because I'm making so much stuff I love. Sex fuels me up. Being a submissive is where I get to set down my load in a safe space to experience deep surrender in my body. Anyone who is experiencing anything that they do not desperately deeply want in a scene, in a BDSM scene, that is not safe BDSM. That is not real BDSM. Anyone who is and I'm not saying, oh, you're a real top, you're a real, but not like that. I mean, when I say real, I mean safe. A kinky relationship to be healthy, partners must be on the same page about exactly what they want and about exactly the roles they're fulfilling for each other. So you don't want a top who is going to, for a second, shame you about ever using a safe word. It's an agreement to play out this certain thing. And the reason that you have aftercare, the reason that you talk extensively about desires and limits and what you want to do together, it must be explicit because you're playing with such deep emotions. You can give each other gigantic, transcendent sexual gifts, but at the end of the day, the submissive is always in control. It's a shared burden, a shared responsibility, and any good dom worth their salt is never going to be under the influence, is always going to be closely tracking the safety mentally, emotionally, physically of the well-being of their they're always going to be tracking the safety and well-being of their submissive. It's a huge responsibility to be a dom. Anyone who thinks it's about finding an excuse to abuse someone needs to go to therapy before they ever lay their hands on anyone. It's not a place to work out anger in a relationship. It's not that. It's a way to play together. It's a way for people, excuse me, I'm having a conversation. He woke up from a nap and he's like, pay attention to me now.
That cat's a top.
So when I am a submissive, I get the benefit of being with someone who's just the other side of the puzzle for me. We're extremely compatible when it comes to our needs. I was also trained as a submissive and I have a great people-pleasing aspect. And so it feels it's such a gift to get to use that on someone who deeply appreciates me, who deeply desires me. I get so much out of mutual desire, like
Mm,
mutual generosity, having a partner that I never before had a partner that would touch me as much as I wanted to be touched.
mm,
Someone who just loves my body, loves possessing my body. And, so I do enjoy being a toy with air quotes and a plaything with air quotes. And I love to be used with air quotes. But it's because I have deep physical and ongoing working to keep a solid base of emotional trust in place
mm,
so that we can do the crazy kinky play we do together.
mm,
And that's, the moments where we have separated are moments where one or both of us were not well resourced enough in ourselves to come together in a way that would have been mutually beneficial for the well-being of all actively.
mm,
So it's just a way to play. It's just so fun. It's playing roles. It's playing out these archetypes, and the submissive at the end of the day is always in control. And I think that's the most common misconception. People don't necessarily know. Safe word is total control.
mm.
And, when a dom is taking care of a submissive, if they are tied up and an emergency happens, it's the dom's job to get those restraints out. So you have to be very safety minded, which is why when people share stories where they're like drunk and started fooling around with kink, I'm like, oh,
Mm.
what do you think you're going to do about safety next time? Because, shaming people is not the answer, but I do get very scared. And so I think the portrayals of kink that we've seen in the media have not done our sex culture a proper service. They've done a great disservice, I think.
Yeah, regardless of whether it's kinky sex or vanilla sex, the person's experience is about them giving themselves permission to be
Yes.
a sexual being.
In
Uh,
whatever way feels
yeah, yeah,
yummiest, dirtiest, most terrible, most amazing,
yeah,
and
yeah,
finding a space where it's mutually consensual.
yeah.
So you're not
Because
doing it at someone.
yeah, exactly. And you're getting the entire thing regardless of why we're doing it. We're all still after this high, the hit that we're getting, the endorphin rush and the connection and all that sort of
Yeah,
stuff. It's a higher state of consciousness. You're in the moment
that's amazing.
um and uh I'm into astrology and all that sort of stuff, but for me, when I'm really in that zone, in that erotic zone, I feel like I have melted into the world around me,
Yeah, me too, me too.
the
Like,
universe,
I am
it's
one with everyone.
yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
the more that happens, and the more you allow yourself to give up your
Mhm,
sense of control over what your body can do, what
mhm.
your emotions can do, like you were saying before, like sometimes you get overwhelmed with all sorts of stuff, and it's sensory, and it could be
Yeah.
emotional or it could be erotic and stuff, but that free fall, that jumping off the cliff, you're the only difference between people who have fulfilling sex lives or don't have fulfilling sex lives isn't whether or not they're kinky or vanilla or hung
Yeah.
up or whatever. It's what they're giving themselves permission to be and to experience and
Mm.
whatever. So celebrating sex and getting over it. I think everybody needs to get over everything that vexes them and holds them back and all that sort of stuff, or obsesses them and gets them
Mm.
addicted to porn or whatever. Get over it and celebrate it, but get over it at the same time. Like, don't make it be the be all and end all, but don't forget that it's amazing. Like, find
Mm.
that balance. And people, I think, sometimes just get so out of whack with the negativity towards it or the super positivity towards it, and can be quite
Mm.
can be bullying people about their attitude and projecting a lot of things and putting people down and shaming them and all this sort of
That's
stuff.
my hope, is to just like welcome whatever is, because I know that that's what's changed my life.
Yeah, yeah.
Friend, sweet friend. Thank you so much for having me.
I love you, you're so sweet.
Big love from across the ocean.
The Eloquent in the Room podcast is available on all good podcast platforms and some lousy ones as well.